Hey guys, welcome to Coding with Hanya. In this video, we'll be exploring the fundamentals of writing variables in Java. So before we get started, let's understand the basic meaning of a variable. A variable is a named container that stores and allows the manipulation of a specific value in a program. Let's think of variables as variables from math class. In math, a variable is a letter or symbol that represents a value or quantity that can change. Just like in math, a variable in programming can be assigned a value, and that value can be used in calculations or manipulated to achieve different results. Similarly, in programming, a variable is a named container that can hold a value that can also change or vary throughout the execution of a program. Unlike in math, in programming, variables can be named anything you want, as long as you follow certain rules. This gives you flexibility and makes your code more readable. For example, you can use a name like age to represent a person's age and assign it a value like 23. Programming also allows us to store more than just numbers in a variable. For example, we can assign the value Hanya to a variable called name. With variables, we have the flexibility to store different types of information. Now let's learn more about variables by ordering Boba. So let's say we're trying to order boba. The details of our order is valuable data that needs to be stored and accessed so that the store can make us a correct drink. Okay, so for boba flavor, I'm gonna go with brown sugar because it's my favorite. And I'm gonna get 3 drinks because I can't just get one for myself. Next up is sugar level, and my sweet tooth always gets me over 100, but I'm gonna be good today and do 100.5. I hate my boba watered down, so I always go with no ice. And for size, you have to get a large. Now let's go ahead and review our order. Our boba flavor is the text value brown sugar. Our quantity value is the integer 3. The sugar level is the decimal value 100.5. Our is iced value is false. Our size value is a single character L, which stands for large. Notice how our order had values with different types of data? These are known as data types, and they play a crucial role in programming. Now, let's dive deep and learn more about the most common data types in Java. First up is string, which is a sequence of characters that represents text. Strings need quotes in Java to differentiate them from other data types and indicate that enclosed characters should be treated as a sequence of text. It is an object of the string class and can be manipulated using various methods provided by the string class. Next up is int, a primitive data type that stores integers. As a primitive data type, int is simple and basic. It is built into Java and does not have any extra features or functionality beyond representing whole numbers. The double data type can represent decimal values with a significant number of digits, making it suitable for storing values that require high precision, such as scientific calculations or financial applications. As a primitive data type, double is simple and basic. It is built into Java and only represents decimal values. The Boolean data type is a primitive type that can hold only 2 values, true or false. It is the smallest data type in Java, using only 1 bit of memory to store each value. Boolean is used primarily for conditional statements and logical operations. It is a primitive data type because it's built into Java and only represents logical values. The char data type is used to store a single character. It can represent any character that is defined in the Unicode standard, which includes characters from many different languages, symbols, and control characters. In Java, char values are enclosed in single quotes. Using single quotes is important because it allows a differentiation between char values and string values, which have different methods and properties. Being a primitive data type, char values do not have any associated methods or properties. They are simply used to represent a single character. Now that we know what the different data types in Java are, let's talk about their importance. In Java, data types are explicitly declared, which means that you need to specify the data type of a variable when you declare it. This helps ensure that data is stored and manipulated correctly. For example, if a program expects an integer, but it receives a string, it may not perform the desired function properly. You can't perform numerical operations on a string. Data types are critical for matching the data value to the expected variable data type, ensuring that programs can execute their intended functions accurately. Now, let's learn how to write variables in Java. The first step in creating a variable is declaring it, which consists of writing the data type, followed by a name which will be used to identify your variable. Variable declaration is essentially creating the box that will hold the potential data. It is perfectly acceptable to create an empty variable as long as you specify its name and data type. The next step is variable initialization, where you assign a value to your variable. The syntax is very simple. You just set the variable name equal to the value you'd like to assign after declaring its data type. Now that we have the syntax down, let's practice with an example. Let's say you want to create a variable that stores your favorite number. You would use the data type int and the variable name favnum. So now you have an empty variable ready to store your favorite number. You can leave it empty until you know your favorite number and are ready to initialize it. I know my favorite number is 5, so I'll go ahead and set my variable equal to 5. But what if the number 5 isn't really giving me the luck I need? How can I change my favnum variable and give it a new value? In Java, you can use the reassignment syntax to update the value of your variable. All you have to do is set the new value equal to the variable name. Notice how the data type is dropped? When updating variable values, you should not include the data type. This is because the variable has already been declared with the data type and you are simply changing the value stored in the variable. And there you have it. The original value of 5 in favnum has now been updated to 7. Now, it's crucial to understand that your value must match your variable's data type, or else Java will complain, and nobody likes a complaining compiler. So be sure to check your data types before assigning a value to a variable. If I try to place a string high into my int variable favnum, Java will reject it. So please remember to match your value to your data type. Let's quickly recap everything we learned. The first step in creating a variable is to create an empty container, which we can do by specifying the data type and the variable name. Step 2 is where the real fun begins. It's time to give our variable a value. All we have to do is set the value equal to the data type and variable name. And voila, our box has been filled with something. Alright, time to put our variable skills to the test and store our Boba order data from earlier. Let's start by storing our Boba flavor, which is brown sugar. Our data type is string since we are storing text. Next up is giving my variable a name, which will be Boba flavor. Notice how I use camel case? It's crucial to follow correct naming conventions when creating variables. This helps keep your code organized and easy to understand. You can watch my video on Java naming conventions for more help. And finally, I can go ahead and assign my value, which is the string brown sugar enclosed in quotes. Next up is storing the quantity of drinks. My data type will be int, and I'll name my variable quantity. I'm going to initialize my variable to 1 because it's safe to assume that we'll at least be ordering 1 drink by default. But then I remember I also need to get a drink for my sister. Updating the quantity to 2 will look like this. Again, we remember to drop the data type because Java already knows it. At this point, my mom is asking for a drink too, so I have to update my final quantity to 3. Next up is storing the sugar level 100.5. The 0.5 will make my data type a double since it's a decimal. My variable name will be sugar level, and my value is a decimal 100.5. Next is the is iced option, which is false. Because this variable will hold a true or false value, I'll use a Boolean data type for the variable. Let's name it is iced. I like my drinks with more drink than ice, so I'm setting the is iced variable to false. No watered down drinks for me, thank you very much. And our last data to store is our boba size. We'll use a char data type for this variable since our size options are just single characters S, M, and L. We'll keep the name simple and just name it size. When it comes to boba, I'm a total fiend, so for my size variable, I'm going big and setting it to L. My boba cravings need to be satisfied. Now, let's print out our boba order variable so we can start sipping on that delicious boba. Let's go ahead and copy our variables here. Variables play a crucial role in programming because they allow us to store and reuse data. Without them, all the data related to our order would be lost and unusable. However, since we have stored our data in these variables, we can easily print out our order for the barista and use it for other functions and operations if needed. Let's use our variables to create a well-formatted printout by combining them with appropriate strings that indicate what each value represents. By doing this, we can easily communicate our order to the barista. And voila! Our boba order details are now printed out and ready to be transformed into delicious drinks. Thanks to our trusty variables, we can easily retrieve and use this information for any further processing or functions we may need. Our order is now complete and ready to be enjoyed. 3 large brown sugar bobas with no ice and a 100.5 sugar level. Yum! You are now ready to start writing and using variables. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked this video and would like to see more, please like and subscribe.